Welcome to this special session that we call chair yoga or maybe chair fitness. This is a category of exercise that is good for people who maybe be less mobile. Um, they may have injuries to their hips or legs or feet, but also sometimes you want to work on your exercise program or your fitness, but you just don't have a lot of energy. And so chair yoga or chair fitness training can be good for you in that situation too. Um, as for what you need a chair to sit on. A really good kind of chair is one with a flat seat. Usually dining chairs are like that. And also, um, for this session, we're going to use a band, one of these stretchy bands that you get from your physical therapist or physio. Um, and a yoga strap would do well too. And we're actually going to start off using this band for a breathing exercise. So we're doing breathing in this sequence, um, a little attention to postural cues, and also the band lets you work on isometric strengthening and mobility. We'll work on the muscles and joints of the body. So beginning with the strap, bring it around the back of your body and support your back ribs with your hands holding onto the band on either side. We can breathe predominantly into where we've got the band with a deeper inhalation, little extended inhalation. You might even be able to feel the breath touch the back ribs. And then we release on the exhalation. It's a slightly prolonged breath as you breathe in here, just so you're more aware of your breathing in the back of your body. Big breath in and out. And if we want to change the focus or include another part of our anatomy in breathing, we could cross the band at the front of your chest at where the diaphragm is, still holding on either side, and then feel the breath in the back ribs, breathing in, but also in the front ribs. And my band expands a little bit, and I can tug on the ends and bring the ribs back into center position. Big breath in, and big breath out. Let's do one more of those. Beautiful. And then without the aid of the TheraBand, if we just leave it by the side, see if we can, I'm going to close my eyes to do this because it helps me focus better on my breathing. So a breath in, my shoulders are relaxed, but I can feel the breath into my back ribs, my front ribs, and then I'm going to take it out to my side ribs as well. And releasing. Let's do 3 more of those together. Inhale, there's a fullness to the breath in all directions. And releasing on the exhale. And let's make this the last one. Big breath in, all directions, and then releasing the breath. And if you had your eyes closed, opening them again. Very good. Let's address ourselves to our posture. Most people say that they need to have better posture, When you're sitting on a chair, it's so easy to collapse into the back of the chair just by rolling towards your tailbone. So we're going to go the other direction and move the tailbone back and come into a little forward momentum that projects us onto the front of our sitting bones. If you bring your hands alongside you onto the seat of the chair, I've got the heel of my hands next to my legs, and I press down there. I can elongate a little bit. I can make more space along my vertebral column. And the hands and the arms are help cueing me for that. So what if I press my feet at the same time as I'm pressing my hands down? And that gives me a little bit more momentum and also engages my quadriceps and a little bit of my core muscles. Then let that go. Now you know how easy it is to collapse. You probably noticed I did that. Let's go into a little support through the hands and more support through the feet and stretching up right through the crown of your head. Beautiful. See if you can file away the feeling without the support of the hands. Your feet are still grounded. Interlock your hands behind the base of your skull and consider that where your hands are placed, you can encourage the neck to lengthen. So from the base of your neck to the base of your skull, a little taller through that part of your vertebral column, your spine. And it gives a nice feeling of traction. What if you lean your head back into your hands a little bit? And that begins to bring me into a better posture too. Without the help of your hands, and just your hands resting on your legs, see if you can move back from the front of your neck, your Adam's apple. Sometimes people are instructed to bring their ears back so their head isn't thrust forward. But this is a better place to move back from, I think. And if we didn't do that and we got our maybe characteristic posture of looking at screens, we might be rounding our back and bringing our head forward. So now we're going to get out of that by elongating the spine, drawing the back of the head back, the Adam's apple back, and sitting tall, sitting pretty. Let's do a little bit of work for our arms and their connection with our shoulders. So bring your left arm up towards the ceiling, reach for the ceiling, and at the same time grab hold of the side of the chair with the opposite hand. Press that hand, extend the arm reach as high as you can go, stretching from even your shoulder blades. Opposite shoulder down. And then let's change. And what were we? Right arm up, opposite arm up, whatever. And reaching. And press the other hand down as you extend your reaching arm upwards. And release down. And how about both at the same time? So for the mobility of our shoulders and extending through our fingertips up towards the ceiling. And then how about rotating? You can rotate your fingers, your wrists, your forearms a little bit like this. And feel the back alternately open wide and contract. Rest your hands onto your legs. And let's do some slow shrugs. So lifting your shoulders up towards your ears and releasing them down. Slowly drawing them up, although as though you had little strings attached to the tops of your shoulders, and releasing down. One more of those. And if we did them a little bit more quickly, you might add a breath sequence too. And releasing, like panting. Let's do some circles through our shoulders. If we do them both at the same time, in anatomy this is called a bilateral movement, both at the same time. And you're kind of circumscribing, it's not really a complete circle, a partial circle, but we can go the other direction too. And if we do it as a single shoulder movement, we could bring one shoulder up, forward, down, and back. Up, forward, down, and back. You kind of notice that shoulder a whole lot more while the other one is passive. And switching. And up, and forward, and back, and up. Forward, up, and back, and down. I think I've got my forwards and backwards mixed up. Let's go back to the bilateral movement. Yes, that feels better for controlling it. And moving back, and then bringing it forward. All right, and relax completely. Tips of your fingers on the tips of your shoulders. Your elbows are forward. And we can do some shoulder rotation, so very specifically shoulder rotation. And paddling forward. And paddling back. The nice thing about this is it brings into play your upper back, the dorsal thoracic. Let's go forward again. So you get a nice rotation through the upper part of your back without adding strain to it. And rest your hands onto your legs. What if we did, let's see, one. So rest your fingertips on one shoulder. Bring that shoulder forward and back. So what I'm noticing with this change of pattern is that there's more rotation to the upper part of the back. So what if, as we bring that elbow forward, we add a foot movement? So like a little bit of marching. The elbow comes forward and you're marching the opposite foot. Very good. And then let's go second side. And bringing that into play as a unilateral movement. And then add opposite foot. Elbow comes forward, foot comes up, a little marching. I have to really pay attention about what I'm doing here. And then rest, feet on the ground and hands onto your legs. I think one part of the body that is really helpful to keep moving is our wrists. If you make your hands into light fists, you can circle your wrists and other direction. And what if we want to bring our fingers into play? So opening your hands out, can you fold your fingers in one at a time and your thumbs, unfold them. It's another mindfulness exercise because the fingers don't always obey your commands here. So now as you bring your fingers in, bring your wrists in and undo your fingers. Fold your fingers in, bring your wrists in. What if we do that out to the side and start with hands open, each finger coming in, folding into your wrists, and then rotating and palms up. It's a little more complicated, isn't it? Fingers, 1, 2, 3, 4. Wrists, rotate your wrists, and palms up again. One more pass through. Fingers, wrist flexion, fold down, and palms up, and rest your hands. Maybe shake out your wrists. That's something that I probably need to do every day. All right, so let's consider the lower part of your torso and what we often call the core area. Rest your hands onto the abdomen and draw up from the pubic bone to the navel center, from the navel center to the sternum. When I bring this in as a exercise, it's a postural exercise too. So I've got support from my core muscles. You could bring your hands onto the sides of your abdomen. Imagine that you've created a kind of smiley face there, and lift out where your thumbs are. And now you've got that zip up, but also you can feel that you've taken that wide into the sides of your pelvis. You might consider that support there as we go on through a few exercises. And the suggestions for about posture, we want to maintain them as much as possible as we go through these. For the sake of your feet and your knees, do a turnout. Stretch your knees out, turn your feet out. Turn your knees in, turn your knees out. At the same time, we're turning feet in, lower legs, knees out, and getting a groin stretch along the way. And we've got our zip up, our tall posture. And then we'll pause and have the legs parallel and the feet in a line. Take up your TheraBand, your band, and you're going to bring it underneath your legs. Let's see, my knees are about hip width apart, and then fold the band over the legs so it's crossed, and then hold each side of the belt. Now you're going to do a little work for these outer hip muscles, outer thigh muscles, pressing out against the band and then releasing. Pressing out against the band. Notice which muscles it takes to do this, and let go. And again, pressing out. And in. What I'm noticing is because I've got a tight grip on the band and there's tension there, that I'm working my upper arm muscles too, which never goes astray. And one more time, and pressing out and releasing. All right, so we'll bring the band into both hands again. And in consideration of working with the arms, bring the band and your arms up overhead. See if you can work to extend the band in both directions equally. And release. So my arms are in kind of a V shape, so they're not too tight in. And as I stretch them out, I can widen my collarbones, the front of my chest. And let's do that, alternately pressing out, opening the chest, and releasing back to center. You can feel my arms getting quite a good workout right at the triceps. Yes, the triceps. All right, and then release that down. We're going to do that one more time with the neck rotation. Let's do our overhead stretch. Increase the tension on the band, and then turn your head and look to the right. Bring your head back to center and look to the left. Include something that we did earlier. Bring the back of your head back a little bit. It might help you sit taller. Once more to the right, center, and once more to the left. Nice work. And then let's lower down and pay attention to your seat once more. We did a little bit of this adjustment right at the beginning, where if you adopt a slouch posture, you're on your tailbone. If you bring yourself forward, you're on the front, aiming for the front edges of your sitting bones. What if we go back and forth a little bit? And what you've begun to do is pelvic tilting. Bring your hands across your abdomen and feel like that's where you're moving from, is your core muscles as you tilt back. And then as you come forward, we get more length through the front of the pelvis. Pelvic tilt back, and then that tilt forward. Imagine that you've got little wheels on each sitting bone, and you're rolling over those tiny wheels. All right, and then let's do a side position. I'm going to sit so I've got my right side to the back of the chair, and it's mainly my right buttock that's on the chair. My right arm on the top of the chair, and I'm going to give my left leg a good stretch out to the side. To be able to do that, you're using your outer thigh muscles, inner thigh muscles, and so forth. And in the main, we're going to work on a sideways lean out. Bring your left arm up towards the ceiling. And now you're going to stretch away from the straight leg and over to that right side. And that feels an extraordinary stretch along my rib cage, my waist, and then bring it back up. Let's do 2 more of those. When you were encouraged to breathe into your side ribs as part of your breathing practice, you can maybe feel more of that when we're leaning over to the right side and to the left ribs. And then what if we just, because we can, go the other way? Rest your left hand onto your left leg, bring your right arm up towards the ceiling. Reach for the ceiling and reach out, overhead stretch to the left and back up. And again. And back up. Keep your left ribs lifted if you can, and that makes you switch on those core muscles. And last time, and well done, and turn around the other way. So when I'm sitting like so, my left buttock on the chair, my right buttock off a little bit, and I'm going to take my right leg out for support. Left arm rests on the top of the chair, and we begin right arm up. The shoulders can stay passive, And there's that lean out towards the side. Back to center. On this side, keep the left ribs lifting even as you're extending the right ribs to the right, to the left. And third time. Lovely. And release the right hand down onto your right leg. Just pause and notice, does this way of working on this side, does it feel different than the first side? Do you feel stiffer or freer? A good thing to notice. But now free up your left arm, right hand rests onto your right leg, bring that arm up and over to the right side. And back up, straight up, and overhead stretch. Keep the right hip a little forward. And last time, lift up the right ribs, stretch the left ribs to the right, and all the way up. And then we're finishing those side movements. Let's turn back to where we started and get our postural adjustments, sitting near the front of our sitting bones, sitting with our feet fully grounded. You might press a little bit more through each footprint, and tall through the crown of the head upwards, and the head comes back a little bit, and the Adam's apple. Let's release some of our leg muscles from what we've done. We're going to do a figure 4 position. So lift your right knee towards your chest, hold your shin bone, bring your foot onto your thigh bone. So you can see where figure 4 comes into this. And then hold onto your shin bone and see if you can get the weight back more evenly on both buttocks and sitting tall. If for some reason, we'll finish on that first side, your knee doesn't allow you to do this, maybe you've had a knee replacement or stiffness there, you can do your figure 4 just crossing your leg with the ankle, one ankle in front of the other like that, or on your toes. But we just want to get that turnout through the leg and the hip. And now we're on the other side and transferring the weight back onto both buttocks, holding the front of the shin bone. Grow tall, sitting pretty, and then release your both feet down. And we'll finish here with just a nice forward stretch. Bring your feet out a little ways away from the chair. Be a little bit wider than the chair legs. Your heels a little bit wider there. Turn your feet out slightly and bring your elbows down onto that space just above your knees. Take a few quiet breaths. Relaxing your breathing. I'm going to complete the practice that we've done in a traditional way. So coming back upright, step your feet in, and bring your hands into what we call prayer position in front of your chest. Lift your elbows out to the side, and the thumbs where they rest on your breastbone. Send the message to lift up from there, open your front chest. And in Sanskrit, we would say namaste, which means may the light in me light the light in you. Namaste.